Alright folks, I decided to start one of the special episodes of Witchy Ways. So let's start. A hiker found a burned body tied to a stake just outside of town. A body burned at the stake, like Salem style? Apparently so. This feels like Jefferson High School all over again. Why don't you guys head out to the scene and see what you can find out? Okay. What do you have, David? This body is badly burned. I was unable to get any fingerprints, but I can tell based on the size and build that the victim is female. How about time of death? The body is still warm from the fire, so I won't be able to get an accurate liver temp. I'll get the body back to Doc Robbins. Take the chain used to tie up the body back to the lab. I'll keep working the scene. Okay, I'll get some stars, so sit tight. Okay, let's examine the cast iron chain. Is this it? No? I think this is it. Yep. Oh. There's one more. Wow, this chain is really heavy. I had to have Henry help me lift it up. It weighs 8 pounds a foot, and it's almost 25 feet in length. For the killer to hold the victim's body up and reach high enough to wrap it around the victim 5 times, the killer must be at least 5'5" tall. The residue you found on the chain is tree sap. Let's narrow it down by comparing it to some examples, see if we can find a match. Got it. The sap came from an oak tree. I saw an old oak tree in the background of the crime scene photos you brought in. Maybe you should check it out.
Students are already sorting it out. So
Wow, good eye. Let's take this bowl and the rest of the altar contents back to the lab. This altar looks like it's been here for a long time. Maybe the victim was part of a ritual sacrifice. Let me get some more stars. Okay, got me some stars. I'll examine the ritual bowl now. Got it. The print you looked at came back to a local preacher named Thaddeus Wise. What would a man of the cloth be doing at a pagan altar? I'll have brass bring him in. Let's quickly talk to him. Thaddeus, a woman was murdered and burned at the stake, and your fingerprints are on a ritual bowl we found at the scene. I didn't kill anyone, if that's what you're implying. So why is a preacher's fingerprints on a pagan ritual bowl? What were you doing out here? My flock's been on edge ever since the news came out about that crazy woman who killed the high school quarterback and some sick... Okay, sorry about that, guys. My tablet ran out of film and I used my phone for filming the rest. Let's get to the altar contents now, but I do have 11 stars now. Aha! The ID you found in the altar contents belongs to Sharon DuPont, a city attorney with quite a track record. No one has seen or heard from her in the last couple of days. I had Doc Robbins pull her dental records and compared them to our victim, and they're a match. Our victim is Sharon DuPont. I did a little more digging, and it turns out Sharon also owns an apothecary shop. Let's check it out. Autopsy's done, so let's see it. The fire was not the cause of death. Blood test confirms the absence of carbon monoxide in her system. I did find 2 puncture wounds in her torso, most likely made by a knife. This will be the COD. I'll take impressions of the marks. I also noticed what looks like deep cuts in her forehead. We'll need to take a closer look at the skull. Got it. Good job cleaning up the victim's skull. This helps paint a clearer picture of what happened to the Vic. These symbols look familiar. I saw them while researching the deaths of the chemistry teacher and quarterback at Jefferson High School. Looks like our killer has knowledge of witchcraft. Okay. Am I going to be doing any more of these special cases? I don't know, honestly. Got it. This cell phone might belong to Sharon. Take it back to the lab. I'll keep working here. Hours, 15 minutes. See y'all later. Okay, folks, we're back. Let's get the results of the cell phone. This was Sharon's phone. There are several text and voice messages from her ex-husband, Rich Jones. The tone of all these messages are either cryptic and urgent, saying he needs her to call him back. Thing is, I found that Sharon once had a restraining order against Rich. Seems like there's a reason she was avoiding his calls. Must have made him pretty upset. Enough to kill and burn her? Let's ask Rich. Rich, we found Sharon's cell phone. Strange thing is, she had multiple texts and missed calls from you. Why were you trying to get a hold of Sharon? I never called my wife that much, and definitely not after we got divorced. The divorce was pretty nasty, and I've been very angry, but this was different. I was trying to warn her. Warn her about what? Norris Clubber, an old case she had. She put Norris away for murder. 10 years later, evidence came out that proved him innocent. He was released last week. So you were setting aside your differences and just looking out for her? I saw him lurking around our old place 2 days ago. I think he was looking for her and wanted revenge. Okay, Mr. Jones, we'll look into Norris Clubber. We might have more follow-up questions for you later. Norris, you want to tell me what you were doing in Sharon DuPont's old neighborhood the other day? I was looking for a new place. It's a nice neighborhood. I like the size of the houses. It's spacious. The last place I had was kind of small. I'd imagine a 6x8 for 10 years would make a man very angry, especially when he's innocent, and that's a lot of time to plan. Now that you're out, you're able to get your revenge on the one person responsible for taking away 10 years of your life. I've already lost enough time. I'm not wasting any more of it on her, and I sure as hell am not going to do anything that'll put me back in prison. Okay, Norris, you can go for now. We don't really have anything on Norris, but I'm just not buying his story. There's no way he's over what happened to him. That'll end this chapter. You've done a great job so far. The evidence you collected has taken us in an interesting direction. Turns out this city attorney was moonlighting as a witch, but we still aren't anywhere close to understanding why she was murdered. And we'll get to chapter 2 eventually, so I'll see you all later. Alright folks, we're back. Let's start chapter 2 of Witchy Ways in special episodes. Someone killed Sharon, carved symbols into her head, and then burned her at the stake. This is a planned and meticulous murder. The best lead we have right now is that the killer may have abducted Sharon from her apothecary shop. Give Sarah a hand. We gotta catch this killer.
I'm Jeff. It's my job for a commercial. We were up in the forest. When I'm eating my breakfast,
Red Charter.
And asked me, what are you eating?
Statue head.
It's the breakfast sausage, fully cooked. Porcupine comes in and he says,
There we are.
I said, yep, there we go. Wolf comes in and says, how'd you learn to talk to animals? And I said, books. And we had a good laugh about that. That's
This torn up paper looks like some kind of contract or proposal. Take it back to the lab and see if you can piece it together. I'll keep working the scene.
We got you covered. The high control technicians at your factory will explain changes. We also exchange transmission fluid, rotate tires, and more. All in at your factory.
It's bonus box days at Ashley Home Store Hawaii. The more you buy, the more you save. With bonus box at Ashley Home Store Hawaii. Get an instant 50, 100, up to $150 store-wide. That's up to $150 off beautiful Ashley furniture. Plus, get it with 12 months financing. So refresh your home today during Ashley's bonus box days and save up to $150 and 12 months financing. Ashley Home Store Hawaii. This is home.
Are you ready for your birthday present?
There we are. But it's very, very faded. Nice work. The document is a detailed charter and agenda written by Mary Morgan. The document also has Sharon's fingerprints all over it. I'll have Mary brought in for questioning. Brody went back out to the forest to wrap up the scene. Why don't you head out there and see if she needs any help? And when you get a chance, Sarah called. She's making progress at the apothecary shop. Help her take a closer look.
It's time for me to get us. Montreal says photos, which is going to location of use. Finish
Take the forest first.
We'll find this guy.
He's not going to be on any registry. He took a girl.
If he just hacked in, he'll still have left some trace.
Even if we catch him, he's had plenty of time to get rid of the body.
I hear you had a date.
Yeah. Even had theater tickets.
To what?
Spam.
Here, son.
Folded paper.
Detective Tutuola, come and pollute your soul with some child porn, my friend.
Any luck with the phone company?
No. Yeah, ain't that good?
Oh, there we are, the bone. I hear Doc Robbins determined Sharon was stabbed to death. We've been over the scene a few times and I haven't seen one drop of blood. I don't think she was killed here. This folded paper you found could be useful in finding the primary. It's covered with dirt that doesn't look like any of the soil around here. The killer might have dropped it when they brought Sharon's body out here. Let's get it back to the lab and see what we can find out. Okay.
Place has been closed a while.
No.
Get a warrant?
Look around.
I think this. No. No. There we are. Oh hey, look at what you found. Looks like some kind of soil trace. I just so happen to be an expert in soil, and there's some pesticides in this. It did not come from the forest. We're looking for a place that has regular maintenance and groundskeeping. Not sure where though. But there's a weird substance in this soil trace. Bring it over to my lab and we'll check it out.
Pass it through. What the hell are you looking for? Nothing here. What do you have to do with that story?
What do you want to know? I want you in.
You can't do that.
Keep me here. Give me that light.
See here?
Maria! Maria!
Small leather bag. There we are.
Maria!
A leather bag hidden in the shop. This was in an area covered by dust, but this was placed there recently. Let's check it out.
Maria!
Okay, and let's talk to Mary Morgan. We found the charter you wrote at Sharon DuPont's shop. When was the last time you saw Sharon? I saw her a few days ago when I brought the proposed changes for our coven. She was angry. She ripped up the charter without even looking at it. Was she angry often? She could be a bitch sometimes and a control freak. I get it. She had a very stressful job. Everyone was used to her behavior. She apologized. I guess her assistant Robin Jackson had had enough and walked out on Sharon. I can't blame her. I couldn't work for Sharon. So, Mary and Sharon both practiced magic and were in a coven together. Let's have a little talk with Robin Jackson. If Sharon's behavior was as bad as Mary described, it may have been enough to push her assistant too far.
Your car got rear-ended and you needed a tow. Did your 22-page insurance policy say great news, you're covered? It said blah, 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 blah.
This makes it easy to know what coverage will cover when you're not. Liberty Mutual Insurance. The big Hilton World Fair.
I hear you quit your job the other day. What happened? Finally had enough of your boss's crap? Sharon was impossible. Nothing was ever good enough for her. I took the job thinking it would help my career. Sounds like you had a lot of resentment towards Sharon, maybe enough to kill her. I'm not sorry she's dead, and I fantasized about running her over with my car or pushing her down the stairs, but I didn't kill her. Were you into practicing witchcraft like Sharon? Are you kidding? That crap was crazy. Sharon and Rich are always inviting me to some weird woo-woo moon festival or something. No, thank you. That all changed when they got divorced. He kept the house and Sharon got the coven. Rich wasn't very happy about that. I would have taken the house.
They only show you these on the sometimes. Because Geronimo compares hundreds of sites. Geronimo shows you
Rich Jones failed to mention that he was a part of the coven with Sharon. Let's bring him in for more questioning. We found out from Robin that you and Sharon were a part of the same coven until your divorce. It must have been difficult losing all your friends and no more Halloween potluck parties, all alone. It was difficult. I was the high priest of our coven long before I invited Sharon to join. When we got divorced, she forced me out. She burned you, so you burned her. I didn't kill Sharon. I know she was difficult and did a lot to hurt me, but I still loved her. Rich has knowledge of witchcraft and plenty of motive. We still need to build a stronger case before we can make an arrest. Alright, I'll let these two finish out. I'll see you guys when that's done. Alright, I'm back on CSI Hidden Crimes. Let's get the results of the small leather bag. This is an old amulet pouch. These are often used for good luck and positive energy, but I have a feeling there's something darker behind this. These can also be used to curse someone. Since the victim was killed with witchcraft, this might be tied into the murder. Let's try to figure out what kind of spell was cast on the victim by going through this amulet pouch. Oh well, hold on. Oh wait. Okay, there we are. Amulet pouch now. Did get all the stars in the newest crime scene. The time attack, anyway. 6. Boy, I thought there was one. Bone fragments. Bone fragments in the pouch? This can't be good. Too small to be human. Wonder where these came from. Maybe you can piece them together. Gee, I wonder where this goes. Okay, I'm gonna have to pause this here. I can't even figure this out. Okay, there. I finally did it. It's a chicken bone. A chicken bone? Well, this wasn't for making soup. These are often used to curse people. But who would want to curse Sharon? Lucky for us, these bones are broken by hand, and the surface is very conductive for collecting fingerprints. Chicken, let's examine it. There we are. I ran the print and it was a Master Norris clubber. Why was he trying to curse Sharon? No point in speculating. I'll ask Brass to bring him in. Pretty muscular guy. I thought you weren't interested in seeking revenge. So how do you explain your prints on the contents of an amulet pouch found in Sharon's shop? That bitch ruined my life. When I was little, my grandmother used to practice magic. She taught me a few things, even curses. Yes, I put the pouch in her office, but you can't be arrested for putting a curse on someone. Let me guess, the curse wasn't enough, so you stabbed her to death, then carved symbols onto her head and then burned her at the stake? I wasn't sad to hear she was dead, but I didn't kill her, and I wouldn't even think of messing with magic that dark. Another nut job who believes in magic. I can hold him for now, but we're going to need more if we're going to make an arrest. Now the soil trace. Along with the soil trace, the paper also had a rubbing of the words El Campos. I searched local business names, so far no luck. The good news is the weird substance in the soil trace is rubbing wax and very messy, so the killer will have rubbing wax on them. We should also talk to our favorite witch stalker, Thaddeus Wise. He said he'd gone to various places around town where these covens worshipped. Maybe he can point us in the right direction. He has some rubbing wax. We found this piece of paper with a rubbing on it of the words El Campos. You mentioned that you knew of other places around town where covens may have been worshipping. Do you know if this rubbing could have come from one of those locations? Yes, and those aren't just words, it's part of the name Annabelle Campos. She was a high priestess of a coven when I was a kid. Witches use her tombstone to conduct rituals. How do you know so much about witchcraft? My mother belonged to a coven. I used to practice myself. That was until I found God. I never would have guessed that Thaddeus Wise would have knowledge of witchcraft. We should check out Annabelle Campos' gravesite. The evidence we gathered is strong and we have a good lineup of suspects. But if we're going to make an arrest, we need to find the primary. Okay, chapter is done, and I'll see you guys for chapter 3. Okay folks, we're back on CSI Hidden Crimes. Let's start chapter 3 of the special cases. If we're going to catch Sharon DuPont's killer, we need to find the primary. Based on the information we got from Thaddeus and the rubbing, Greg was able to track down Annabelle Campos' gravesite. Head out there and give him a hand. Okay, I have 5 of them. Broken tombstone. Lantern, crown. Stars. Toolkit. Ooh, darn it. Annabelle Campos' tombstone has been knocked over and broken. It could just be vandalism or the point of a struggle. This looks like some kind of altar kit. Maybe the murder weapon is in here. Take the kit and the tombstone back to the lab and see what you can find out. I'll keep looking around. I'm gonna get some stars first. Let's sit tight. Okay. I think I've got good enough stars. A good enough amount of stars. I have 15. Take the toolkit now.
Enough vehicle movements. We've got you covered. The technicians
Uh-huh.
Transmission fluid, rotate tires, and more. Oil and your favorite. Just be so it's our first day.
Just say first day. He's a first day. That's not exactly Texas.
There we are, 7.
Just like this. No matter what you do.
Congratulations, you found the murder weapon. The tool markings from the brown candle knife match those found on the victim. Now that we have our murder weapon, let's see what else we can find out about it.
It's Macy's 4th of July sale. Save 40 to 75% store-wide. Plus, enter 20% off with your Macy's Hardcore Wild Savings Pass. Text TV to 62297 to get your Wild Pass sent directly to your phone.
Can you get the right level of charge that don't you sell?
I can't believe it comes with a bacon, cheeseburger, fries, drink, plus it comes with Sunday.
It's like the Sundays free.
Can't believe myself for real.
Nothing fishy.
Got it. The soot we got off the knife is from burned sage. The killer will smell of burned sage. Okay, broken tombstone.
Same time, Dr. Scholl's stimulating step insoles and massage feet pressure to each step. Dr. Scholl's stimulating step insoles.
Weary for inspiration, innovation, changing every part of the experience. We're able to take for color. Pick the best paint for any budget. September,
There we are. Annabelle Campos.
sometimes it's hard
Only
to
2 energy. Wow.
time our cables enhance the VR. 6 shows at the same time.
Nice work on piecing Annabelle Campos' tombstone back together. I noticed what looked like blood spatter on the stone, so I had Henry test it. It's a match to our victim. Sharon was killed at the cemetery. That's not all. I also dusted the tombstone for fingerprints and found one matching our former witch-turned-preacher, Thaddeus Wise. We need to talk to Thaddeus.
Addiction is a disease. It's self-consultation. If you have private insurance,
Let's see what Thaddeus Wise has to say.
so call it addiction now.
Calling number 264-1678.
We found your fingerprints all over Annabelle Campos' tombstone. A tombstone that was also covered in Sharon Dupont's blood. You just keep leaving your fingerprints everywhere. Okay, I was at the cemetery, but nobody else was there. I went to destroy Annabelle's tombstone so the coven could no longer use it. So Sharon caught you in the act and she remembered you from the other night at the tree altar. I have a feeling she wasn't going to let this one go. You guys start fighting and then you kill her and burn her body. I swear to you, I didn't kill anyone. I'm a man of God. I was trying to do the right thing.
I also found this nothing dated after 1971. I said this is supposed to get too done.
After examining the residue on the murder weapon, we were able to determine it was soot from burned sage. So the killer is going to smell of burned sage. Hodges already checked out Thaddeus Wise since he was still in custody. He was clean. Well, if there is anyone's nose that knows, it would be Hodges. Let's round up our suspects and put them through the smell test. Wow. This will only take a second. Did you just smell me? Yes, I smell sage. I find burning sage calms and it's cleansing. And for lunch you had a whitefish with lemon vinaigrette and a glass of Chardonnay from Northern California. Wow, that's just freakish. Huh? This coming from a witch.
Girls, I'm a widow. I've had some years.
And let's find out if Norris Clubber smells of sage.
Whenever I'm too curious.
So, what do you want now? To be honest with you, Norris, I brought you so I could smell you. Seriously? I'm sure this is some kind of harassment. No, more like assault. On my nose, because I can smell you from here and it ain't sage I'm smelling. It is... Norris Clubber is cleared. Rich Jones now. Thanks for filling out the statement about Norris Clubber. That smell is familiar. Is that sage? Yes, it is. Sorry, I use sage for cleansing a room of negative energy. I hope it's not too strong. No, not at all. And finally, Robin Jackson. Thanks for coming in, Robin. We wanted to return some of the items we collected from Sharon's shop. I only worked for Sharon at her law office and I quit that job. I had nothing to do with her wacky woo-woo shop. Then you might find this file interesting. It's Sharon's will. She lets you everything, including her wacky woo-woo shop. What the hell am I going to do with an apothecary shop? It smells like you already know. Ah, sage. That moron Rich came over to Sharon's office while I was packing up my desk. He insisted on cleansing the room of negative energy. Greg just called in. He's starting to piece together Sharon's last moments at the cemetery. Go out and see what else you can learn about the killer. Moment, folks. Okay?
1971 or some homicide for Suzanne. Prisoner.
Pin. Red button. Pirate flag. Got a lost briefcase. I'm thinking the struggle started here at the mausoleum entrance. Then Sharon ran, but the killer caught her up at Annabelle's tombstone. The struggle continued, but it was too late. The killer had the upper hand and took Sharon out. This pentagram pin might have belonged to the killer. Let's get it back to the lab. .309. Okay, I'll see y'all later. Alright, let's finish out. Pin's done. So, let's put a killer behind bars here. I found Sharon's DNA on the pentagram pin. She must have grabbed it as she struggled with her killer. It is definitely connected. I hate to admit it, but maybe Hodges can find out more about the pin. There we are.
Of course, people do tend to breathe harder when they're panicked. There's no
Sharon's DNA on the pin and threads on the clasp are a result of a struggle where Sharon tore the pin off the killer when she fought back.
If so, she can
The killer has a ripped shirt.
Talk to me within the manual, or man, you just take up the stone. You're gonna tell me what your hands are.
We know the killer is at least 5 feet 5 inches tall, has knowledge of witchcraft, smells of sage, has signs of using rubbing wax, and is wearing a ripped shirt. Norris Clover was falsely convicted and prosecuted by Sharon. After losing 10 years of his life behind bars, he may have wanted revenge. Mary Morgan was a fellow Coven member, so she had knowledge of witchcraft and may have killed Sharon just because of her total lack of respect. Sharon's ex-husband Rich had plenty of motive after a rough breakup and losing his position in the Coven. Robin hated working for Sharon. She even fantasized about killing her boss. Former witch Thaddeus thought Sharon and her coven were living a dark and sinful existence. He may have killed her thinking he was doing God's work. You have all the information to make an arrest. Take your time and choose carefully. Only you can get this killer off the street.
Taking my pulse.
That's right.
Interrogate me, detective.
Let's see.
Detective, I'm not stupid. I really am a doctor. Also with the FBI.
It's not Thaddeus Wise.
Here to profile me.
I don't think it's Rich Jones.
And what do they say about when you're impotent? I told them that they were wrong. Now, why would they say that? Because you mimicked Harvey Kane every detail, except Harvey Kane's victims were all raped and yours weren't. You have no idea what I did to those women. Well, you did.
I think it's Mary Morgan. I'll try her first.
Do tell. Because some women like having sex with your women.
Yes. That's 1. That's 2.
Targeted women and children.
3.
I told you that you reminded you.
And it is Mary Morgan.
Always going on because they were innocent. Do you know if they molested them? I'll find out. You're so smart. Have a deep
Mary Morgan, you are under arrest for the murder of Sharon DuPont.
fly with their sons.
I was tired of the constant blow-ups and total disrespect she showed toward me and everyone around her. When I first met Sharon, I admired her and looked up to her. She had a successful career and a position of stature in the Coven. Soon it became apparent that she was a poison that was toxic to everything she touched. She had to go.
It's not done. Doesn't make sense to me. It's such great things. The names given after the legend. Wasn't it wonderful?
Great work on the case. Ms. Morgan was one wicked witch, but now she's behind bars. Looks like we've got another case. No rest for the weary. Let's get to it.
Journalism school. He's going to be a reporter just like Bogey and his microphone and bottom.
Mentioned the scam.
No, plagiarized his honest thesis. All my hard work out the window. It's thrown out. Just disgraced. Really need to get you from
Ho homicide. No thanks, I'm gonna go back into this one and just get the stars and that'll do.
Later. Takes a lot of catching up to do. Here, have a seat, Mrs. Becker.
You're here.
You haven't changed a bit.
You should have seen him when he was little. Handsome curls.
They're not interested in my childhood.
But we are.
Nice play. You mind giving us a few minutes?
Sorry. Against my rules.
Stay out of this,
Why? But she's such a big part of it.
Okay. You wanna know where she is, She's in a lonely place. Ready for the bigs.
Was it Bogey?
Okay. That will do. I'll see you guys for case 7.